Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Daydream Nation, and I've got a special guest to the channel tonight. I've got Markus Grosskopf from Helloween, bass player. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Yeah, doing
Markus,
good.
you've got a new album coming out on August 29, Giants and Monsters. The excitement levels must be at the maximum for the band to finally get a new
Yeah,
album.
yeah, it's always exciting. I mean, it's great still being around, makes me kind of proud and makes me kind of feel so well because we got the somebody told me, some journalist told me it's the 17th album we did. I in between I was forgetting about it. Uh, and then I was thinking, wow, this is so many years ago, especially when we having the 40 years anniversary now makes me feel like an old fart, but still being there. It's a funny feeling, but it's a great feeling still being one of the kind, still playing the game, still being able to be around the globe and, make the people lucky with what we are doing.
When you started 40 years ago, did you think that you were creating? I mean, like a lot of people look at Helloween as being the pioneers of power metal. I mean, in the day, did you think that be creating a whole genre of music with those early albums?
Well, it was like the situation when bands in Germany, or especially in Hamburg, they did. We had a lot of bands doing like kind of so to say normal hard rock, like a little bit like Def Leppard influenced and all that stuff, but just not as good. They were cool, but there were so many bands doing that, and we thought if we start doing music, we got to do something different. We got to think of something that isn't there at that time in Hamburg in Germany. So we started all that extreme speed, but we loved the melodies. We always loved the harmonies and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of combined it. It was kind of planned to combine all that melodic kind of stuff with that speed we had, and we still have here and there, and that was kind of working. It was constructed for like keeping you alive.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
I never thought it's going to be working for the rest of my lifetime. I was
Yeah,
thinking, all right, do a couple of good years or what, see what happens. I
yeah.
mean, we always put everything into it. The whole life was constructed for doing music, so we kind of knew it's going to be something coming out of it at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like your band's got that sort of neoclassical influence. Was there anybody that had that classical training? Was there a
Yeah,
particular band, or was there some sort of classical training that somebody brought into the band?
well, we were like, I mean, especially me, I'm coming from the punk, actually. I started off
I know
listening to,
that.
to punk music, being in a punk band my first a couple of years. That was great. I loved that. But that's not the classical influence, but it's more the punk and dirty influence I got there. But Mikey and Kai always like listening to Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, which I became later on a big fan, and listening to the Beatles and all those bands. And
Yeah,
they were classical music kind of stuff, and they even were. Mikey was listening to classical music, like Mozart and Brahms and all that. And all
yeah.
that is like flying into Helloween. All that different kinds of tastes, all the different kinds of music. And we didn't really study any kind of music or something.
Mm.
It's all coming from what you feel. It's all coming from what you feel right from the heart and right from the stomach.
Yeah, absolutely. Why is Europe such a melting pot for power metal and melodic rock in Germany? There's so many power metal and bands that were influenced by you. Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's also the whole place in Europe is like influenced by that. It's very different from America, and we do like very very big venues, and many people all over Europe and in Asia and in South America because of that. It might be different. Well, it might be the case that people want something for themselves. They want something real, so that they can touch it. It's very close. It's coming from their own kind of environment. It's coming from their culture, and it's not American based or something. And they don't want to have. I mean, the whole world is changing. Life is changing constantly, and I guess they just want something that stays the way it was born. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? That they don't want to have a change everywhere. Everything is kind of changing in their lives,
yeah.
and they want to have something stable. They want to have something that's not changing too much. They want to have something they could believe in from the beginning, and reminding them of good old times. What do I know? You know, it's very
Yeah.
very different in America. I guess it's more like fashion orientated. This kind of music is fashionable at the moment, and very very modern, which is not uncool. I mean, I didn't say it's bad, but it's a different way of listening to music. If you're not modern enough, you don't play big arenas or something. We play like 2,000, 3,000 seaters in America, which is a little club for America. But still, there's people loving all that kind of traditional power metal, which is kind of old fashioned and old school. You find those people there, but it's not as big as in Europe or Asia or South America, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it's because America, a lot of the music genres there come from the blues, etc., but Europe, the previous
Mm.
generation of music was classical, and that's why it's
Yeah.
coming into
Well, maybe.
power
We
metal.
had all that. We all that had that classical musicians like Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and all those
Yeah,
people and Brahms and all those people comes from like a classical background. Might have and had an effect of what rock bands are doing because it's deeply in the culture of German history, musical history. You know,
yeah,
it might as well be that it comes from all that, and yeah, well, why not? And it's a good influence, you know. I'm not so professional in with classical music. My heart beats for rock music and all that in general, you know. I love the blues, and
mm,
even the blues is coming from the 50s, you know. That's what I kind of love. It's and there's so many influences in German music. Well, but then the blues is more coming from America in a way, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess pop, rock eats itself. It's just,
Yeah,
let's talk about the new song, which is "This Is Tokyo." This is a different sounding Helloween. Were you going for something deliberately going for a slightly different direction? It's a very accessible rock song. It's
yeah.
really catchy.
Yeah, I think it sounds a bit like adult kind of stylish. What do I know? We didn't really plan to make it sound like this, but the song is asking for each song you do, each song you're recording is actually asking for a sound. It's actually asking to find itself in a code, so to say, that fits the song, you know, and it's just like the song tells you what it would sound like, and you just have to listen to the song to give it a certain kind of clothes, and it just came out like this, you know. Plan on let it sound like this. It just had to sound like this, and we do kind of like it. It's a little different, although you from Andy Darius, you know, that kind of heavy rock pop kind of numbers he's writing, which I really much like a lot because you can breathe and you can, well. He always did this with Mrs. God, and he did it with Waiting for the Thunder, and you name it. He's just got that kind of feeling for those songs. And why not bringing it out if we think it's a cool track, if it's a rock track or a metal track, if it's a cool rock song in a hard rock Halloween way, in a metal way, well, we just do it. We don't ask anything. If we're satisfied, we just hope that people listening to it will be as satisfied as we are. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with Giants and Monsters, is there a concept behind this album, or it's not? It's just various
Uh,
songs.
well, it's not really a concept through the whole record. It's just the thought of well, the idea is, if you ask me, we're all giants, you know. Everybody can be a giant, but even a giant has some monsters in yourself. All of us, we all have our monsters in ourselves. We got to fight them. If it's any fear about your job, if it's any fear about other persons, if it's a fear to not being loved by the one you love, or whatsoever, any fear, any kind of bad feelings, you have monsters, and you as a giant, you have to fight them to be a giant. And with each fight, you got to be growing a little more, making you a giant. That's the idea of being the giant, fighting against your own monsters, because we all have them. We're all surrounded by monsters, or even the monsters are in ourselves. You got to fight the monsters coming from the outside. Also, you got to fight the monsters being in yourself, releasing them, and then feeling better.
Yeah, intriguing, intriguing. I can't wait for it to come out. The sound of the album, is this classic Helloween? How would you describe it to the viewers out there, this album?
I don't know. I think it sounds great. I never asked why it sounds like this and what the producers did. I hear the final results saying, "Wow, this is cool. This is great. This is a little bit different from what we did, but it's still heavy. It's still rock. It's still a bunch of great rock metal songs whatsoever. You name it. But if it sounds well, I don't really ask. If it sounds
Yeah,
great, I say, well, it's touching me right in the heart. I can feel it right with my stomach, and then there's no question why it sounds like this. It
yeah,
sounds great, and that that matters. That's the only thing that matters. If it makes you feel good, if it gives you a good energy, if it gives you a good emotion.
yeah. Was it a long recording process?
Yeah, we had that idea with the drums. They were setting up like 3 drum sets in the big drum room, miking it up, and then they used like this drum set for that kind of. For example, Andy's songs, they need more rock drum sound. Then some other fast songs, some speed songs, they need more like a thinner heavy metal kick drum and all that. And we were fooling around with that. Recording only the drum recording was like 6 weeks of experimenting, trying out what drum set would be the best for that song or that song. That was very interesting. While the other people, because we're sending files back and forth, while I was doing the bass, other people were doing guitars at Andy's studio. I was doing the bass at my Shockhouse studio in Hamburg, while he was still doing some more drum tracks in some studio in south of Germany. And that was kind of cool. So it took us maybe 4 months, 5 months, something 5 months, half a year to get all this together. If you take the period of writing and collecting ideas, you can say, well, it's kind of a little bit more than a year from like the finished paper with no lyrics on till the final result. You have like the finished and mastered record, mixed and mastered record. You can take a whole year because we need that time to develop all that kind of ideas we have and choosing the songs we want to, because we're like 5 or 6 songwriters even in the band. Then you have like 30 songs on the list. But you only need 12 or 13. And some
Yeah.
songs are gonna die, and it's not easy to decide. But yeah, in the end of the day, it sounds great, and we need that time to find out what's best for the record.
With the group, when they get together and work on songs, does it ever get a little bit robust, the conversations, little disagreements that this has got to be this way and this has got to be this way, or it's
Yeah,
usually,
definitely.
yeah,
That's definitely. And now having 2 more people in the band, Kai and Michael, they're big characters. They're big alpha characters as well. So it wouldn't make the actually discussion about the songs, about what we're going to do, about how we're going to do it. It's not going to be more easy now. It's the other way around. It makes it all more complicated and even longer, the discussions about songs and things. But in the end of the day, it's all a very, very creative process. It takes a little longer because you have the more people are involved in the process, the longer it takes. But the more ideas you get coming in from what you wouldn't really think of. Uh, yourself, there's somebody coming, someone saying, "Oh, let's do it like this," and you say, "Well, all right, why not? I never thought of that." But there's enough people to having big, great, different ideas from what you got, and that's cool. And we also ask people from the outside, like the management and the record company and the producers, if you write a song, to say this song is cool, this song is cooler than that song. You're kind of too close to the song. You cannot really say that's good enough or that's bad. It's like good to have somebody from the outside, not being that involved in the songwriting, being more objective to the material, saying, well, this is what probably is very, very good for the record, no matter who wrote that track. And that's
Yeah.
what we're doing. That's what we're doing. You got to have the guts to let other people coming in, not being involved into the songwriting, that those people hear songs with different ears.
Yeah, absolutely. I've asked this with a lot of bands, and I'd be interested to get your perspective of this.
Yeah.
Do you think
Mhm.
sometimes conflict within a band is good for creativity, or you're of the view that conflict actually is not very good for
It's
creating?
very good. It's very good. It's very hard sometimes, but in a way. But after all those years, we learned to live with those conflicts because there's different ideas, and you got to be open for all kinds of ideas. It's just like there, and you gotta use this potential, even if it's hard to find out what's the right way to do. At the end of the day, the record is working, and all those conflicts. I mean, I'm not saying we were kind of close to killing each other, but those days are over. But we're having very heavy conversation about things, and that's kind of good because it's a very, very creative process where people are fighting for their ideas, which is very good. And if you
Yeah.
fight a lot for your ideas, you got to convince people how good it is.
Yeah, I guess it's called passion, isn't it? And
Yeah.
passion is
And in
the
the end
name
of
of
the
the
day,
name of
we
the
do it.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And in the end of the day, the record is done. We're going on tour, hugging each other before we go on stage.
absolutely. Personally, your perspective, the band's gone through a few drummers. Now, how has that been for you in the bottom end to adjust to another different drummer? Has it always taken you a while to adjust to the different sound of the various drummers that have come into this band?
It's well, as Danny is still a great fan of Ingo. Remember we had that drum battle with Ingo's recordings and Danny, and he's kind of a very big uh, uh, fan of Ingo, so he kind of plays very, very strict, straight metal. That was something very, very cool because he's right on the track, trains himself, trains his body every day. He's just like living for drumming, and he's kind of playing very, very strictly metal, even though he's playing different stuff here and there. But his main line will be always metal. That's great for the band, and that was Ingo. And we had loads of drummers in between being very, very different. That makes the music sound different as well. I mean, remember Oli Kush? He was very metal, but also he was kind of in that swinging jazz kind of type within the metal he was playing. That was interesting too. But then, well, Danny is a killer drummer because he's straight on the track. And
Yeah,
it's kind of what the drummer plays, especially as a bass player. I'll be after him, listening to what he's doing, kind of forming my bass line to what he's playing. And that's interesting with Danny because he sets his bass drums and things like this or that, and so I can put myself in between that, or right on the bass drums, or right on the beat. It
yeah.
inspires me to play some bass lines I never had in mind before I was listening to the drums.
Yeah, just weaving or just your passing notes, behind the
Yeah, yeah,
beat,
yeah,
front of
yeah.
the
It
beat,
it, it, it
that
it
sort of
has to
thing.
it has to match in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, having three singers in the band, two main singers, it really opens up the possibilities in songwriting, doesn't it?
Yeah, it will. And you never know when I play the bass on those tracks. There's like a pilot vocal, of course, but it's not the final version. And uh, I have the guitars and the drums and all that. But it's not the final version. They decide later on who's going to sing what song, and it's always going to be, since the last record, a big surprise for myself, because I don't know who's going to sing that track when, in the end of the day, I will hear the final decision, the final versions when the mix is done, and I never knew before who's going to sing what track.
Yeah,
So I'm always surprised, and it's great. And it's great. I love that
absolutely, absolutely.
because when the song is done, they try out with both singers, even with Kai, and who's going to sing that part, who's going to sing that part. They try it with different voices, they try it with different singers, and then deciding what sounds best.
Yeah, well, it's really a point of difference in metal because there's not that many that have that two-singer approach, and I really think it does sort of make your band a particular
Yeah.
standout in
It's
that
it's
field.
great to have that variety. It's great to have
Mm,
that chance to say, "Well, that sounds better with a voice from Michael or Kai or Andy," or let them sing it together or whatsoever.
mm.
It's so much fun, and it gives you a great variety of, like, there's so many possibilities. It's great. I love this. But there will always be only one bass player. I
I
swear.
know. Well, you've been there from the start, mate. You've been there from the start. Hey, just briefly, going back in time to
All
Keeper of
right.
the Seven Keys Part 1 and 2, 87, 88, you were starting to get noticed in America and you were doing tours with Armored Say Grim Reaper.
Yeah, yeah.
What was that tour like in America, when you were starting to get a little bit of traction?
That was something very, very different. That was the time when hair metal in America got really, really big, with MTV supported supported by Headbangers Ballroom and all that. You, as a young
Mm,
guy, we were like 20, 22 years old. You getting pushed into America for 2.5 months. Manager saying, "Well, to speak in America, use a rubber." Like, and you'll be like the 22 testers full of testosterone being pushed into America.
yeah,
Well, I'm lucky that I survived that time, but it was great. It was great hanging out there. And when the girls, I'm not talking only the girls, but it was different from Hamburg. They lining up backstage in the gear. You know what I mean?
yeah,
and
yeah,
and
absolutely.
the whole scene was so rock and roll, and with the rainbow and all that, whiskey a go-go bars was like really, really popular and big, and full of rock and roll. You could smell rock and roll in each corner you went. You could taste it, you could smell it, you could feel it.
Yeah.
And we as a German band, being little guys having success in Europe, being pushed into America.
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
we just we just enjoyed it.
Did your record company look after you? Do you think, on hindsight, RCA were the right label for you? Did they do everything the right way for you? You think?
You mean for America?
Yeah, for America, for your band in America, do you think
Yeah, I mean,
RCA looked after you?
we do they do the best they can, and we do the best we can. We go over to
Mm,
like 20, 25 shows. I mean, you can tour America for like 1.5 year, and then starting where you just stopped, and on the other end, you can tour
mm.
constantly, but we got some other places we need to go.
Did they try to influence your image or how things were supposed to be recorded? Was there any record
No,
company
no, it's just
interference?
like nobody's coming into the studio telling us what to do. It's the songs we're creating. There's nobody coming. I mean, it's only the management can hear what we have on our demo tapes or something. So
Right.
anybody else is not actually not involved at all. So they're gonna listen to the final product, saying
Yeah.
I like it or not, but because that's what we do, that's what we want to have, that's what we created, and if it's finished, it goes out to those people who are working with it. There's
So
nobody telling us we should do it like this way. Of course, there's the producer saying, "Oh, this is a little bit too much of that in that song, because it's like the ear is not able to listening to 10 melodies at the same time in the chorus line. It
yeah,
has to be like the chorus line that catches you, and not some guitar or keyboard stuff behind it. You gotta
yeah.
you gotta create something clear that the ear can follow. But there's no nobody telling us what to do really.
So
It's
you were
just
left to
all,
your own. You were left to your own devices. That no
yeah, yeah.
interference. You just did what you have to do. Castle Donington,
I
1988,
remember that.
100,000 people. Wow, how was that?
That was scary, I tell you. That was kind of scary. And there was like the Bailey brothers at that time, and they had that kind of net in front of the stage when people were throwing bits and pieces and fruits and like like big salami sausages they were throwing and cans of piss and all that kind of shit. And I saw that
Yeah,
thinking, wow, fuck, I gotta go on that stage now. What am I
yeah,
gonna do? And I drank a little, and I had a little booze, I had a little
yeah,
smoke, and then I thought, well, you're gonna survive this. You've gotta get your ass out there and showing them how to catch an apple.
yeah, yeah.
How to catch a sausage flying in the air. And in the end of the day, it was kind of cool, you know. But they were scary in the beginning, you know.
Yeah, it was a bit of a blur that day for you. Have you got? Do you have got memories about that? Any particular memories
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that
yeah,
day?
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a lot of fruits. One fruit hit me right on the head, and for a couple of seconds, I just saw black because they're throwing anything on stage. They got in their
Yeah.
hand, you know. And it was like, oh
Wow.
wow, now yet now I'm playing. Now you got me. Now I'm on 100%. Now you woke me up. It was kind of weird and cool, but it's what you had to go through.
And you probably thought, like, I think we're making it. I mean, in front of 100,000 people, you've got to be doing something right, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice.
absolutely. Your bass project, Bass Invaders, only features bass guitar. What inspired you to take on that project? It's fascinating.
Actually, actually, when Lemmy was still alive, we had like loads of festivals, almost each festival years ago. It was like Saxon, Helloween, Saxon, and Motorhead. And in the end of the day, you know, there was loads of other bands, but then Motorhead was a lot of times Motorhead were around, and I was just like listening to Lemmy from on stage, you know, thinking, wow, actually this guy doesn't need a bass, doesn't need a guitar player at all. He is a guitar player. He has a sound like a guitar player. And why not making an album trying to create some distorted bass sounds like Lemmy did on stage and leaving out the guitars, you know? That was actually the inspiration for it, you know, hearing him playing. And I was trying to get him on the album, writing to his management. I don't think Lemmy was a person
Yeah.
fiddling around with media kind of things. So I was writing to his management 1,000 times, but they never answered. My wish was to get Lemmy on that album, but I don't think he ever get in contact with me because of the management didn't wanted it. But what do I know, you know? But that was actually the biggest inspiration for that album, that you can do music. If you hear Lemmy playing, you don't need any more guitars.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
because he's a bass player and a guitar player in one.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. It's sort of like lead, isn't it? It's lead melody.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
one of
yeah.
the right out there. Hey,
Yeah,
if you were,
the whole sound, the whole range he had in the sound.
yeah, if you were going to do a sequel, what? Give me a wish list of 4 bass players that you'd love to get on your project. Any
Oh,
one of your
that's
heroes or
well
whatever.
maybe there was like Geddy Lee maybe that dude from the Beatles. What's his name?
Paul McCartney. Yeah, right.
Yeah, Paul
Gotcha. Yeah,
McCartney.
yeah, yeah.
Mr. Geezer Butler is one of my favorites.
Yep, absolutely.
Steve Harris, of course,
That's a
and
that's a great that's a great 4.
yeah, Geddy Lee and maybe Marcus Miller, but just a bit more distorted. Not as nice as he
No,
plays. He's a
absolutely.
great, and yeah, some of those people. Yeah, and I'm thinking about it. Those are the people I would like to do some stuff with, you know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
maybe that Metallica dude is playing very well. I like him a lot. I mean, I'm always calling the Spider-Man because the Spider-Man bass player, because he's always crawling on stage with his bass, playing like a spider. He's my spider bass dude. I find that very funny, and he's playing a very very good bass.
17 albums in, if you were going to recommend the quintessential Helloween album to somebody that's going to taste them for the very first time, what would you recommend? What's other than this latest album?
You mean it's only one album?
Yeah, just one. Somebody that's listening to you for the very first time, and it's not the latest one.
It must be one of the Keepers, I guess.
That's a good answer. I think one of those two, one or two, would be good.
And from there, you can go anywhere.
Yeah. Any plans to come back to Australia?
Not yet, but we're talking about it, of course. And it's not easy. It's so far away, and we, of course, we don't have that support from over there, like we have in Europe and Asia. So it costs more. But we gotta raise it up. I would like to come. We've been there twice, and it's been great. But we had like clubs. And we see what we can do. I'll play shit clubs. I'll play in September, and next time I will play little bars and clubs with a Thin Lizzy cover band because their bass player quit. And I do that, and it's like 200 seaters we do.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely. But look, just seeing like your band is just going from strength to strength, and just seeing the live footage, and I think you're really hitting a sweet spot with this lineup. So I'm really looking forward to the album coming up and seeing what you guys do on tour. So over the next 12 months, you're basically just going to promote the album and just do a world tour. Is that how it's going to run? Europe and America?
Yeah, we do a lot of interviews now. We do a lot of promotional phone interviews like we do now here.
Yep.
I got a couple of more, and the others are talking to some journalists as well. And then in between we're rehearsing for the new tour, which starts in October, beginning in October. But then still we go from time to time. We hook up together for 2 weeks, rehearsing old songs, rehearsing new songs, rehearsing anyway, getting ready for the tour.
Yeah. So with the tour, which is very special with the anniversary and being like 40 years, you got anything in special you got planned? Is it going to be the set list must be very hard to whittle it down?
There is a couple of tracks we never did before, or never did before in this lineup. But then we try to, it's the energy. It's 40 years of energy coming at you.
Absolutely. Well, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Markus. And we hope we get you down to Australia. And
I hope
far too long. We'd love to see you, and all the very best for this album.
All right.
It's coming out on August the 29th. So,
all right. Thank you.
All the best, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.